Good afternoon and a warm welcome. Thank you for joining us on NTV at 1. Trusting your day is coming along well. Feels like a weekend, and that is exactly what we are expecting because it's already started. It's Good Friday. It's April 10th. Some say it's their 100th year, and others say it's 101 year. But we have 265 days remaining until the end of the year. For some, we just need to do a reset of the year 2020 because of the coronavirus pandemic. But after all, we just have to take it a day at a time. We have a lot that we are going to be covering for you this afternoon. But we're going to start with our top story, where the world is set for an unusually quiet Easter with lockdowns imposed across the globe. Christians all over the world are facing an extraordinary Easter under lockdown, with traditionally large congregations replaced by live-streamed services. Today is Good Friday. Christians are commemorating Jesus' crucifixion without the solemn church services or emotional processions of past years in a world locked down by the coronavirus pandemic.
Easter is the high point of the Christian year, and yet millions of believers across the world will spend it separated from the ministers, their temples, and their liturgies. Palm Sunday marks the beginning of the Holy Week for the Christian community. The week culminates with Easter Sunday. Here in Kenya, churches are deserted as faithful remained in their homes. The government announced tighter restrictions and increased police enforcement in an effort to sustain lockdowns during a holiday period traditionally associated with trips and socializing. This is going to be one of the toughest Holy Weeks in history. For Christians around the world, today is Good Friday. Christians are commemorating Jesus' crucifixion without the solemn church services or emotional processions of past years. In ordinary times, faithful retrace Jesus' steps. There is dramatic reenactment of the trial and death of Jesus Christ. With Kenya, like much of the world, in lockdown because of the coronavirus, Christians will not be able to conduct the annual ritual. The church might have closed its physical wooden doors, but the congregation of the Christian faithful are ever closer spiritual to God with constant prayers and rosaries during the Holy Week. Many feel that the void created in our spiritual lives can also draw us closer to the Lord's own solitude in his final agony and suffering. Many churches are offering parishioners live streaming options so that they can observe Good Friday and Easter on TVs, smartphones, and computers. Pope Francis will celebrate Easter Mass in Rome in a nearly empty St. Peter's Basilica. Instead of presiding over the Way of the Cross procession, Pope Francis will lead a Good Friday ceremony in St. Peter's Square without the public. The Vatican has been closed to visitors for a month, and the 83-year-old pontiff, beloved for breaking stuffy customs and mingling with the people, has complained of feeling caged. On Thursday, the pontiff presided over the Mass of the Lord's Supper in St. Peter's Basilica. He recalled how Jesus washed the feet of the apostles and invited the faithful to allow the Lord to love and serve them. The liturgy did not include the washing of the feet out of respect for directives intended to curb the spread of COVID-19. The Mass was streamed live, and Christians around the world were invited to participate. The pontiff said a prayer for the dozens of priests and health workers who have died across Italy while attending to the sick since the outbreak began in February. The Argentine-born pontiff has reportedly been tested twice for COVID-19 since coming down with a cold at the end of February. He has enjoyed a life of good health despite losing part of a lung as a young man and suffering from sciatic, a nerve condition that causes pain in his hip.
Unusual scenes there. It's perhaps the first time in history that church services are moving from, the church structures going online. And we're now joined by Bernardo Juang, still in the spirit of discussing this whole debate about Easter celebrations. Bernardo Juang, how is Homa Bay celebrating?
Initially, it is a celebration that many people were really waiting, especially the Catholics. And as you can see behind me, this is an empty church, and as you can see, we are also seeing benches behind me, and also a few priests here. And what could have happened here today is the Catholics in Homa Bay they could have started the celebration just from the pier, Homa Bay pier, moving towards town, celebrating a little bit. It is a celebration that usually takes 3 hours. Then they move. We managed to talk to some of the Homa Bay Catholic congregants. They were saying that it has forced them at least to pray back at home and celebrate the day back at home. And with me here is the priest, Homa Bay Catholic priest, who will be telling us how is the situation, how are they celebrating, and how are they going to celebrate this day as Catholics. Join me here. Sanga Karibu. It is a day that many people were really waiting to see how you are celebrating, and even you people, you wanted to celebrate in a big way. And how do you usually do it?
Well, as all Catholics all over the world do it today, we start with a procession it's called the Journey of the Cross. From a designated point. Here in Homa Bay, we start from the pier down the lake and we move in the town to this place. Usually it's a journey that takes about 3 to 4 hours to reach here. It's a moment to pray, to meditate upon the times and the lives of Jesus, and as he traveled with the cross to the way of Calvary. So usually as a celebration with the people that is joined by thousands of Christians around. It is very dear to the hearts of Catholics, and as we move the town, it also attracts several people also to come and see and join also in the celebration. Not only Catholics this particular day, even other people from different other faiths join us in this particular celebration.
Okay, since you are not celebrating it today, and you are staying here at the church, seeing empty chairs, how does this feel to you?
Definitely, this is a sad moment. It's a sad moment for us, for me as a pastor, as a priest. It's a sad moment also for the church. Having the chance not to celebrate with the Christians, not to celebrate this feast, this celebration for us is a time that we cry about, we weep about, but then there's nothing we can do.
Are you going to celebrate now?
Well, no. What we are going to celebrate is the next. We have got 2 liturgies today to celebrate today. The first is to process with the cross. The second one is a mass, is a celebration of the Lord's Passion. And this we shall only do privately with the members, the clergy members here. And we also have our sisters and brothers here, probably a crowd of 10 people. Yes, we shall celebrate that in the evening.
Well, thank you very much. Dennis, you've just heard from the priest himself, Romanus, saying that it is a sad moment for them, but of course, they have not given up. They will be celebrating in a private, in a special way. They'll do it in privately, the mass or a celebration that will only contain 10 people, only people staying here. They will be celebrating them, fathers, brothers, and the sisters. And they are saying that they are only praying for the nation and also the whole world, so that come September, where they were saying that they have pushed the celebration to, they'll be celebrating that day, and they are telling their congregants at least to continue praying and be ready for September when they will be celebrating this day. Back to you.
Well, very many thanks, Bernardo Juang. Just be safe. And couldn't help but notice an inscription at the back of the church there in Homa Bay saying, "Arise and evangelize." And the priest there talking about, an empty church, empty streets. What a paradox. But let's cross over to Mombasa now, where we're now joined by Kevin Mutai. Kevin, Homa Bay is a totally different story. I don't know about Mombasa and where you are. How are you celebrating? What are you observing there in Mombasa?
We are joining the broadcast from Bangladesh, one of the informal settlements here in Mombasa. It's within the Jomvu constituency. And with regards to Easter, this is quite, it's a very silent and a quiet one, Dennis, because remember, Mombasa is one of the coastal counties that are currently facing the containment period, and residents are lying low in their houses because they cannot move outside the restricted areas because these also the same happens to the counties of Kilifi and Kwale, and of course this is with the efforts the government is trying to arrest the spread of COVID-19. So people are staying indoors and the movement is really limited, especially even in some of the areas that we normally see people crowding, especially when it comes to such kind of festivities. And with Easter here beginning on Friday all the way, we're expecting people to be indoors until Monday. Remember, not only even residents here within Mombasa alone, travel restrictions has also been, it has also affected other people from other regions, because even here within the coast region, no one from Kwale, no one from Malindi, Kilifi can even access Mombasa County. By now, would see thousands and thousands of people thronging the sandy beaches along, the coastal strip. But the case is different here. People are indoors, and of course, the security officials are, everywhere, manning and ensuring that these directives are adhered to, and of course, warning anyone against who plans to go against these measures that the law will catch up with them. The situation is the same from the three counties. Dennis, remember the situation as well as is the same in the neighboring county of Kilifi and also in Kwale. But of course, there are several other things that the county government of Mombasa is trying to do. One is trying to help the residents, and currently they're working out on a free food program that they're expecting to feed the most vulnerable in society, and they're targeting approximately over 250,000 households here in the region, the entire Mombasa County. And of course, we being informed that those who will benefit from these food items will expect to receive at least food rations that perhaps will last them for a month. But again, we are being informed by the officials of the county government of Mombasa that they're at least waiting for, if at all the government will decide to enforce a lockdown, a full lockdown, then that is when they'll start distributing these food items. But as at now, a couple of minutes ago, we just arrived from one of the go-downs that they're receiving food items, and we're seeing well-wishers from all over the country sending different food items. We just saw one truck carrying, for instance, over 5,000 of assorted food items being stored at that particular go-down in Changamwe area, as well as in Mikindani. And of course, we are following up on various issues that are coming up in this region. And of course, Dennis, we will be updating our viewers on the progress that the county, all the three counties are doing with regards to containing the spread of coronavirus. Remember, out of the 184 cases currently in the country, Mombasa still comes second after Nairobi, and of course also the government marked the three counties of the coastal strip as the hotspots for this particular virus. And right now what we know is that the health authorities are moving in with speed to try and trace other contacts who came, persons who came into contacts with the already confirmed positive cases for COVID-19. But what is also worth noting is that the health and law enforcement officers are even warning of introducing stiffer measures so as to curb the spread of COVID-19. If at all, people will try continue defying the set protocols that are currently in place. But so far we are still in contacts with the authorities. But of course, once that happens, definitely we're here to keep you, or rather bring you up to speed of what's happening. That's it for now. I'm told my colleague Seth Olale is waiting on the other side of the line. Seth, where are you and what do you have for us today?
Well, good afternoon, Kevin Mutai. I'm actually along the usually busy Nairobi-Mombasa highway, but not so busy on this particular occasion, despite it being an Easter holiday. And of course, for obvious reason, following a directive, we're here at the Daystar University intersection in Lukenya, where basically this particular roadblock has been erected by law enforcers, and they're checking each and every vehicle. No PSV is allowed to come across this particular, to go across either side of the highway, and this is follows President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive on Monday, but even to explain further of what's ongoing here at Blue Kenya, where police have erected a roadblock. They have been manning this particular roadblock 24 hours a day. And now I'm going to talk to the officer in charge, who's Catherine. Catherine, a lot of activity here. We've seen cars, some of them parked at along the road. What's just happening at this particular roadblock?
What is happening? My name is Catherine, the OCPD at the river. What is happening by now is that no vehicle, according to the instructions which was given, should move from Mombasa to Nairobi or Nairobi to Mombasa. The vehicles you can see here parked along the road, those are the vehicles which we have denied access to Machakos, and they have refused to go back to Nairobi. But of course, what they are supposed to do is to know that there is no way we can allow them to go on either direction, because we have to make sure that the instructions given are followed to the letter.
And what are some of the explanations given by the motorists? Because I've seen some of them are holding some sort of documentation. What are kind of the explanations that they need? Is it an emergency? Is it dire need? Is it a doctor's appointment? What will make them gain access?
The officers who are manning here, we are having a human face and a lot of caution and understanding that there are necessities which are supposed to be allowed. If you have a person who is going to visit, to have a patient in hospital, we are allowing them to go and come back. And if they have the essential services, vehicles which are essential services, like the vehicle ferrying vegetables, fruits, and the perishable goods, we are allowing them to go, and we are not denying those who want the access.
In terms of numbers, approximately in a span of 24 hours, how many motorists have you turned back? How many have you refused access into the city?
An average of more than 100 vehicles has been denied. Bearing in mind that today is a public holiday, it is a Good Friday. So many people with the personal vehicles were trying to use the opportunity of today holiday so that they can visit their relatives or friends. But that has not happened because we have denied them entry throughout. They cannot go on either side. Yes.
Well, even as we come to the conclusion of this, what are some of the challenges you've experienced ever since setting this particular roadblock on Monday at 7 p.m. to now? What are some of the challenges and what are some of the accomplishments you have, made so far?
So far, we have made accomplish of controlling the movement, and also we are trying to explain to the people the reason why they should obey the rules which are given. And also the challenges we have since we started is there are some people who are alighting from the vehicles and they start boarding the motorbikes. But today I can say we have made an extra mile that there's no motorbike within. We have managed to chase them away. So if you are stopped, you either go back to where you are coming from or stay with us here, but you will not pass.
Thank you so much, Catherine Ringera, the officer in charge, and also the OCPD, just giving us the real picture, what it looks like here at the Lukenya roadblock. Now, like she said, no passenger service vehicles are being allowed to enter the city, and vice versa. No PSVs are being allowed to go past this particular point from Nairobi Central Business District. And it does not just end here, because on the other side of the road we also have public health officers who are making sure that each and every cargo motorists or each and every the drivers for the trailer, especially that are transporting goods, they just have to undergo a mandatory screening right over there. They're being checked on their temperatures and they're just being asked about their brief medical history. So this is happening on the other side of the road, and this is being spearheaded by both the Ministry of Health officials at the national level as well as Machakos County government public health officers. So it is kind of some sort of a multi-agency. But what's important for now is that we have just a group of motorists here who claim that they're in dire need of gaining access into the capital center, into the capital city, I beg your pardon. But of course, they have to go through a very vigorous verification for them to be allowed to get past this particular point. And remember, like what Hilary Mutambai, the police IG, said yesterday, it is 24/7, and at least it will go on for 21 days as directed by the head of state. Back to you, Dennis, in studio.
Very many thanks, Seth Olale there. The Lukenya roadblock, 24-hour, round-the-clock police controlling movement in and out of the city, just following the directives for the containment. And for those motorists who are not aware that there's something like that going on around that area, the police there who's in charge of that particular roadblock saying that they are trying to explain to people the reasons why, and Ministry of Health officials obviously also there just to check on the people, coming in and who are planning to leave in terms of screening. Let's move now to another county, and this is Mandera, where the county has run short of COVID-19 sample collection kits as the region upscales the fight on the pandemic. Area Governor Ali Roba, while giving a status report on the pandemic, said the ministry needs to provide more kits soon because the number of cases in the county is likely to increase. Now, on Tuesday, 2 people tested positive in the county. The governor said there are 30 people at quarantine facilities in Mandera town who need to be tested of the virus. He said due to the government ban on travel to Nairobi, it means transport to take the samples to Nairobi, which is 1,200 kilometers away, has been curtailed. Roba said the region has a fragile health system and at the same time serving Somalia and Ethiopia besides area residents. Contact tracing of passengers who traveled with the 2 persons who tested positive has begun, and the 2 whom the governor said are responding to treatment traveled from Kilifi to Mandera via a Mecca company bus.
Despite the progress being made, we have run short of sample collection kits. We have more than 30 people in quarantine, but we have no kits with which to send samples to Nairobi. We appeal to the Ministry of Health to urgently avail the kits to enable us forward samples for testing. I still make a fresh appeal to the National Steering Committee on COVID-19 to help Mandera set up a testing facility or consider availing a flight to help with movement of samples to the nearest testing facility in Nairobi, which is 1,200 kilometers away.
The Aga Khan University Hospital in Nairobi has conducted a COVID-19 mass patients influx drill to test its response plan. The drill involved the simulation of care for up to 30 COVID-19 patients arriving within a span of 2 hours, with 6 of them requiring care at the intensive care unit. Key aspects of the drill included isolation of the patients at the accident and emergency, administering of a COVID-19 test, use of portable X-ray machines to avoid cross-contamination, transfer to the isolation ward and to the ICU. Others were proper donning and doffing of PPE, decontamination of the patient care areas, activation of the hospital's command structure, among others. All this while ensuring proper precautions are taken by staff for the protection of both COVID-19, non-COVID patients at the hospital and continuation of care for other patients with emergency and urgent cases. The hospital has finalized setting up 100-bed filled hospital, and 40 beds have been set up and the other 60 are in progress. The hospital has also adopted an innovation that makes it possible to ventilate 2 patients with 1 mechanical ventilator in a worst-case scenario where the number of patients requiring mechanical ventilation exceeds the number of available ventilators.
The reason why we're doing mechanical ventilation with 2 patients is we are anticipating, or hoping not, that we could possibly have a surge in patients that outstrips the supply of our mechanical ventilators. In conjunction with our biomed department, we have been able to have 2 patients set up, adjustments made to the ventilator, to the circuits for both inhalation and exhalation, to where we can actually ventilate 2 patients at the same time. This is a standard PB840 machine that is typically designed to ventilate 1 patient, but we were able to convert it to ventilate 2 patients.
We take a breather. I'll be back with more stories. Stay with us.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Basic protective measures as guided by the World Health Organization. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact 1 meter or 3 feet with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Avoid raw or uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases by sharing this message with a friend. Message brought to you by Sour Herbal Family Bath Soap.
Welcome back. 7 residents of Cabernet are in self-isolation after reportedly being in contact with a suspected coronavirus patient whose samples have since tested positive. According to Cabernet County Public Chief Health Officer Winnie Bore, the 7 contacts are said to have traveled in a coast-bound bus in which a passenger later turned positive to COVID-19 virus. Samples of the residents have been transferred to government laboratories for testing. The new development, the county government health officers to begin fumigating other major centers in the county, such as Kabartonjo, Marigat, Eldama Ravine, Mogotio, and Chemolingot. A similar exercise was undertaken in neighboring Nakuru County at Molo Town, spearheaded by the area's political leadership. Businesses in Busia town are on the verge of closing down due to scarcity, high cost of raw materials and lack of market following the closure of the Kenya-Uganda border as a result of the coronavirus. Micah Sitawa, a manager at flour milling factory, says the maize that was used in the factory came from Uganda at an affordable price, but since the closure of the border, they have been forced to source for maize from Uasin Gishu County, which has turned out to be expensive for them. This has led to an increase in the price of maize flour. The millers say they have been forced to reduce the number of staff in the factories so as to meet the expenses. They want the government to ensure maize is available to millers.
Borders za Uganda zilipofunga, ilibidi sasa turudi huku Uasin Gishu na wakulima pia wakakatalia mahindi. Kuja ikapanda na kwa saizi tunanunua na shilingi 3,700.
Now to sports, the world's most popular league, the English Premier League, is struggling to find its footing amidst the global coronavirus pandemic that has wreaked havoc on sports. Southampton became the first EPL club to announce their players, directors, as well as the manager and his staff will defer several 3 months of their salaries during the coronavirus pandemic, and that the club will not use the government's furlough scheme during that time. This comes in the wake of EPL players launching their own initiative dubbed Players Together to contribute funds to the health service on a voluntary basis. Earlier, there had been a campaign led by the British Health Minister to have the players